Most scientists believe that life has been on this earth for many millions of years. In this session, we're going to discuss some challenging news about geologic time and how to think about it. There is evidence that supports a short-age model of geology, which we discuss in Chapter 18, and there's also evidence that seems to be against short-age geological time, discussed in Chapter 17. So why is there this contradiction? All research data must be interpreted. The data don't directly tell the story. Most scientists accept the philosophy of methodological naturalism. They automatically interpret data to mean long ages and uniformitarianism. Chapter 18 discusses evidence that contradicts the conclusions that will naturally come from methodological naturalism. As we learn more, the balance gradually shifts towards what is in Chapter 18. Most scientists don't recognize this. Methodological naturalism can be like blinders on our eyes. It keeps us from seeing some new evidence. The evidence doesn't all point one way. Some evidence is for short-age geology, a biblical concept, and some is against it, that is, against the Bible. Notice, this means that the decision between accepting the Genesis account or rejecting it can't be made on scientific evidence alone. The evidence is not like the scale that shows one side much heavier than the other. It's more like this scale where there is evidence on both sides and it's more balanced. There are two common approaches to dealing with this. The first approach is, I have more confidence that God knows the answer, so I will trust the Bible and let it help me understand the evidence. The second approach, the person thinks the scientist must know the answer, so I will trust what they say. We'll describe one example here, evidence that seemed to require long time. In these pictures, you see the Green River Formation with cyclic sedimentary structures, which are interpreted as developing over several millions of years. In those rocks, there are millions of well-preserved fossils. How do we explain those? If this sediment accumulated very slowly, it just doesn't work. Animals have to be buried rapidly in order to fossilize. How many years would it take for fossil dung to decay? Well, in this picture you see a coprolite, which is actually fossilized dung, probably crocodile dung, and it's buried in many layers of sediment, as you see in some of these pictures. In fact, about 180 layers. So was it likely that that dung is going to lie there on the bottom of the lake for 180 years and still be preserved? I don't think so. In summary, there are these two common approaches. One, I have more confidence that God knows the answer, so I will trust the Bible and let it help me understand the evidence. The other approach, the scientist must know the answer, so I will trust what they say. But remember, the evidence that we have from science doesn't all point one direction. And so the balance of evidence is not adequate to tell us the story. We have to know our Bible and understand if we trust what God has to say to us.